As Asian dating coaches, what kinds of issues do Asians come to you for that are somewhat unique or common to Asians? So anyone can just jump in and answer this question. I'm not going to call on anyone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys out there that just have a limiting belief where they think, oh, well, white guys can get girls. No, white guys struggle with women. Black guys struggle with women. But they just think, oh, these problems are specific to me because I'm Chinese or I'm Indian or, they just think like girls won't like them because especially a lot of guys that grew up in like the West. So I found a lot of guys that grew up in, North America as Asian guys, they just have that insecurity that, white women won't like Asian guys, which is definitely a misconception and a limiting belief.
Yeah,
Uh,
just to hop off of what Justin was saying, like Asian Americans have a lot of limiting beliefs, internalized racism, while like students that I find from Asia, they come over here and like they don't have any of that kind of limiting beliefs. They're just kind of like foreign and they just have to learn like American dating culture. But if you're born here, a lot of guys like they might be tall and good looking, but they were raised to believe that they weren't as good as like white guys or black guys. So definitely agree with that.
I think for me, I think the biggest thing that I realized because I'm more on like online dating and the Instagram part, a lot of guys come in thinking they can't be attractive, like some of the, I guess, influencers or the guys who get all the girls online dating. But I think I don't know, there was like an old saying that looks don't matter in game, but I think more than ever it's trending towards where I feel like looks do matter. Like not everyone agrees, but I think that's what I believe. And I try to help that Asian guys are becoming attractive with the whole K-pop trend going. Like there's Jungkook on the Billboard, like Korean guys, and even indie guys on Bollywood, right? Like Bollywood guys are super jacked. Like there's actually legit good-looking Indian dudes out there. So it's kind of like giving that belief that just because in West they said Asians are feminine or not attractive, I feel like now it's our job to make them believe like, yo, you can be an attractive dude, not because you're Asian. It's in spite of being Asian. You know what I mean?
Also, my dad was a
Interesting.
hardcore academic. He came to the US to get his PhD degree. So I think a lot of guys, most of our childhood was spent on, physics, calculus, focus on our IQ, getting into college. We never had the opportunity to really develop our social skills, right? So it's like a
Mm.
lot of our parents are like, okay, well, don't talk to girls from, when you're a kid all the way through college. And then once you're done with college and you have a career, it's kind of like, oh, well, why aren't you dating? And there's no process in between where those skills are honed in, right? So I think there's a gap there in terms of just awareness.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we got those tiger parents, mom and dads.
Yeah, I think like in the Asian and Indian communities, the thing is there is a limiting belief, and also the how the West has portrayed the Asian stereotype and Indian stereotype in the past, and that is also affecting. Because if we say like if it is there is no limiting belief or there is nothing like that, then Asians and Indians should be dating the same like white people are doing, having the dating game going on. So that is definitely like one thing I see that there is some kind of toughness in game due to stereotype attached for Indians as well as Asians. I think the Asians are still in a better position because they have a good in-group preference and they have done collectively slightly better in improving the stereotype. Indian are still like it has to work on this thing. And but even if there is a kind of stereotype attachment is there, it can be overcome if you work on your game, if you work on your inner game. That is very, very important. And see yourself as the same as any other race who is very successful in their dating life. Because sometimes I see like people say like the accent of Indian people is people say like Indian accent is bad accent or something. So it is who said that? That's the question. It just in the West it is been said. So why it is not like uh, Russian accent is seen as a bad accent, or German, if German is speaking English, it is not seen as a bad accent, or French. So this is people has to raise their self-esteem and believe in themselves that whatever they have, whatever their roots are, they are all good. And in this way, I think like they can improve their game and overall stereotype when they are believing in themselves. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I want to piggyback off of Deepak's point. So, and same thing as JT said earlier, if you're from Asia or India, you come here to the States, you're confident in dating. It's like I saw an interview where they're interviewing Indian people saying that, hey, do you like your accent? They're like, yeah, I love my accent, in the Indian accent. But whereas like if they're growing up here or raised here in America or in the Western world, they feel like they're almost like sub inferior to others because of social media, mainstream media, etc. But the biggest thing actually is obviously going to be limiting mindsets and beliefs. But another thing that I see is that they don't know, like the Asian brothers here don't know the know-how, right? They're like, hey, is it okay for me to talk to this girl? Is it okay for me to approach someone at the gym? Because their beliefs or upbringings taught them not to stand out, not to be, the center of attention, not to do these things because the nail that stands out gets, hammered down, as they say, right? So these are things that I've noticed.
Lots of interesting perspectives. Let's move on to the next one. That's quite a lot of information right there already. By the way, I forgot to mention this. This is pure fucking coincidence. I have never been to Asia before, but I'm going for the first time on Sunday. It's like
Where are you
this
going?
episode has been planned for a long time, but I didn't
Where are you
know I
off
was
to?
Tokyo. First
Tokyo?
Shanghai though,
The
so I'm
worst
going to
city for
China
dating, dude.
first. Huh?
It's like the worst city for dating.
Shanghai or Tokyo?
Tokyo, it's extremely difficult. Yeah. Japan's pretty
Really?
impressive.
Why?
Yeah, the trains shut down at like midnight.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's really hard for girls to come over. If they do decide to come over, I mean, the trains start back at like 5 a.m. So they have to make that decision. Also, like, there's no Uber. You got to pay like $70 just go to from Shinjuku to like Shibuya, right? So like transportation somewhere nightmare. These girls are working like 6 hour day or 6 days a week. So logistics and work, everything's a pain in the ass. So
Yeah,
and nobody's having sex.
Yeah.
that's crazy because, from my perspective as a non-Japanese person, I have dated a few Japanese girls, but that wasn't in Japan. It was just completely different being a tour, them being a tourist. So
I
that's
mean,
very interesting to
you
hear.
definitely stand out, right? So that's the
Yeah.
advantage.
Alrighty, next
If you are
question.
going,
Which
if you are going there, Japan, Tokyo, then I have one guy. I trained him, Johannes. He's a Japanese dating coach now. I trained him in Europe. So if you, I can like make you contact with him. So he's working as a Japanese dating coach in Japan, and he's teaching like in central Japan, Shibuya, and all these places. So
Yeah, send them my way after if we do
yeah.
like a second Asian special or something.